All right, here we go. Let's stir it up for the last hour, and we'll call it a weekend coming up at 7 o'clock tonight. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. I have a couple of hot takes for you before we get out of here and finish up episode 905. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. I made a mention before we did Nincompoops in the News, which Ken Weaver has won handily, by the way. Ken Weaver, congratulations on your victory for Nincompoops in the News.
Thank you, Brother Murphy.
Ken won, and let's hope the Oklahoma Sooners win this weekend, too.
Who came in second?
If you're second, you're last. I mean, it's basically these are really Ricky Bobby rules around here.
So me?
If you ain't first, you're last.
Because yours was bad again.
I didn't really even keep it up. I mean, I see Matt Murphy. I see that there was one person that wanted to give you a negative point for mispronouncing subsequent. And
Subsequent.
I was about to say, I can't remember how you said it, but I noticed it. Did you say subsequent?
Yeah, I heard it as soon as I said it. I have trouble. I'm like an Alabama fan. I have trouble with that reading thing.
Well, I get it. You're doing a great job. There was also another message here that said, Gator fan here, Jackson sounds 8. What time does... Hold on. Don't make me laugh. I got to say this without laughing. Gator fan here. Jackson sounds 8. What time does his parents pick him up from work?
I'll see you in Gainesville, brother.
You got to admit, that's pretty good. Let me take some heat here. Number one, I believe in law and order. And I believe that if you violate the law, that there have to be consequences. But the conversation that I was having with a previous caller in the last hour elicited some response, such as, screw all that garbage. If you're here illegally, you need to get the hell out of my country and take your bleep kids with you, period, end of subject. Another. Even in the 1990s, they were flying Mexican flags in America, refusing to assimilate with our culture. And another. Truth is, if you're in this country illegally, you need to be deported, period. All right. Here's the Murphy plan on this. And before I give you the Murphy plan, and I admit I'm not at 100%. I'm feeling under the weather, so I've got to make sure that I use my words properly. Ronald Reagan, in I believe it was 1986. You can fact check me on this. It was Simpson-Mazzoli. The Simpson-Mazzoli Act was designed to put the issue of illegal alien behavior behind us. It did not work. Previous to the Simpson-Mazzoli Act, which amnestized illegal aliens, by the way, like 3.5 million of them, there were not federal regulations regarding ensuring that an individual that was employed in the United States of America was employed in a legal fashion, and they were in this country legally. The Simpson-Mazzoli Act created the I-9 form that demanded that you see 2 valid forms of identification in order to go to work legally in the United States of America. One of the things that the Republicans demanded was border security, better border security. Ronald Reagan demanded it out of the Democrats in the Congress. The Democrats were soft on illegal aliens and illegal immigration then, as they are now, and they saw this great opportunity to get votes then, as they do now. The Republicans, particularly the establishment Republicans, more specifically the Chamber of Commerce Republicans, saw a grand opportunity to get cheap labor then, as they do now. And so a compromise was struck. by which we created a legal document that would force employers to ensure that the people that they were hiring were here legally. Well, the ink was not dry on Simpson-Mazzoli before illegal aliens and employers began totally exploiting this process. And they have been ever since. Secondarily, the amnestization of 3.5 million illegal aliens who are already in the United States of America, known to us illegally, that happened on the promise and the premise that Reagan would get from the democratically controlled Congress border funding guarantees that would give him the ability to hire Border Patrol, and they weren't known as Immigration and Customs Enforcement then, but hire Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents and Border Patrol agents and utilize technologies available in 1986 that would give us the ability to shut down the southern border once and for all. That never happened. Never happened. The funding never happened. And so border security never happened. And for the rest of the 1980s and through the 1990s and through the 2000s and through the 2010s, despite the fact that many of us in the United States of America wanted to do something about this, despite the fact that many of us recognized the need to do something about this, nothing was done about it. Sadly. Lip service was given to it. George W. Bush attempted another round of amnesty in 2007 and 2008. And thanks to people like you, and if I pat myself on the back, people like me, I was on the radio at the time and I was steadfastly against it. We did amnesty once on the promise of border security, and the Gang of Eight, remember the Gang of Eight? They wanted to do it again on the promise of border security. And one guy in the Congress stopped it. One guy began the effort and led the charge in Congress. And obviously, he had so many of the American people behind him. And eventually, he got the late, great Rush Limbaugh behind him. And he got so many other talk show hosts behind him. And his name was Jeff Sessions. He was a senator from the state of Alabama. He eventually became the Attorney General of the United States of America. You might remember him. Now, I understand that he had some issues involving having to recuse himself, et cetera, and he proved to be too weak for the role. But I will never not like Jeff Sessions because of what he did in 2007 and 2008 regarding illegal immigration in this country. So I say all that to set this table. We're not talking about pieces of paper. We're not talking about names on pieces of paper. We're talking about human beings. And some human beings, on the premise that was set out for them in the 1990s, came to this country under the misguided belief that if they got here and set up roots here and kept their nose clean, that they could stay here. It is our responsibility and it is our failure as voting people of this country that we did not disabuse them of that notion right then. And it is our failure and it is our responsibility as voting citizens of the United States of America that we have not handled this situation more cleanly and more directly before now. It has been almost 40 years since Simpson-Mazzoli. And I thank God that we finally have a president that is dedicated to the premise that our sovereign border cannot remain so without remaining sealed. and that we mean it when we say that you cannot come here illegally anymore. But collectively as a society, if we are to retain our souls, we have to accept a certain level of responsibility for people that don't know another country, but this one. I'm not talking about people that came here last year. I'm not talking about people that came here 2 years ago. I'm not talking about people that came here 5 years ago. I'm not talking about people that came here 10 years ago. I'm talking about people that got here 30 years ago and were allowed to stay because the Chamber of Commerce Republican Party, of which I do not belong, and the weak-ass Democrats, a party that I don't belong to, allowed it to happen. And ultimately, we the people allowed it to happen. Now, I think it's very convenient and frankly very easy, and I'm not here to wag my finger at any of you because there have to be punishments. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. We have to punish those who came here illegally, but that punishment does not necessarily mean deportation, or nor should it, in my opinion. But I think it's very easy for keyboard warriors to tell people that engaged in what they considered to be a victimless crime in 1991, let's say, the year that I graduated high school, and I'm not a young man, far from it. Jackson will tell you.
He's old.
I think it's very interesting that so many of you, especially those of you that claim to be people of faith, I think it's interesting how many are willing to say, nope, to hell with them, send them home. It's goofy, and it's garbage. It's garbage. Here's what I say. If you have been here less than 10 years, and I could be convinced for 15, you go home. Period. You have to go home. You can apply to get back in line after that time, but you have to go home. Anyone that can document that they have been here longer than that period of time, whether it's 10 or 15 years, I'm willing to accept whatever. And you can document that you've paid taxes, and you can document that you've not committed any crimes, then you are to report to probate. At that point, you'll be processed, and you are to pay a fine. Let's set that fine up at $1,000 for every year that you have been here illegally. And we'll set up a payment structure for you. And you begin the process of repaying that amount of money. Secondarily, as a secondary punishment outside of the fine that you will receive, you will never be allowed to be a United States citizen, but you will be allowed to stay in the United States. That is my position on this issue. It is a compromise position based on my recognition, and it's hard. I understand that it's hard. But you and I have to look at ourselves in the mirror and recognize that we are partially responsible for this because we haven't done anything about it until now. And thankfully, finally, we see people in positions of political power willing to do something about it that we put there. But ultimately, we the people hold the cards in this regard. I know that this is going to tick a lot of people off. Don't get me wrong, because a lot of you just want to say send them all home. Well, you know, I think my position is pretty hard line because I'm talking about sending tens of millions of people. I mean, well, yeah, I think over the last 10 years, you've probably seen at least 10 million illegal aliens come into the United States of America, if not more. But the alternative is to watch. Well, I mean, there are economic ramifications to what some want to do with regard to our undocumented or illegal alien population in the United States of America that I don't think you understand the full ramifications of what you're talking about. Nor do you care. I mean, you don't want to. You just round them up, send them home. Okay. I hope we start making babies because we're going to need a lot of workers. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. It's 25 after the hour on Super Talk. Hi, my name is Joel. Matt Murphy sent me to the Glock store today. I'd like the rectum optic, please. That's not what it is. That's not right. That's not what it is. It is the reticle optic, the multi-reticle optic.
You know, it's
and
hard
I just
on
learned
me
to say
for
it.
not noticing.
I've been calling it the rectal optic for a week. And I hope that Dan and his team at the Glock store forgive me.
I hope they have somebody come in and ask for it.
I'd like one of them one-holder optics, please. One of them booty optics. Thank you. One-holder has been the theme of today's show, Jackson, because of you. All right, I've got a lot of people.
And my phone didn't even end up being there.
Well, I know. I got a lot of you ticked off at me for what I consider to be a sensible compromise position on a lengthy issue of illegal immigration. And I understand. I get it. But I'm just telling you where I'm at on it. That comes from years of experience of understanding that if you want all of this and they want none of it, then we've got to meet somewhere in the middle. And I think it's a reasonable compromise where everybody has to pay a punishment, a penalty, and you don't get to vote. You don't get to be a citizen of the United States of America if you chose to do it the wrong way. But at some point in the process, whether it's 10 years, 12 years, or whatever, we decide that we're going to eat some of the responsibility of not dealing with this sooner and recognize that you're dealing with human beings that have been in the United States of America and kept their nose clean for that length of time. And I know that doesn't sit well with some of you, but I'm just trying to be realistic about the subject. Terry is next up on the Matt Murphy Show. Hello, Terry.
Why, Matt? I agree with you in part. I just believe that anyone that is going to be, if there are people that are allowed to stay in the country, that they should be required, kind of like someone on probation, to also do community service.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I'd be good with that. Now, it's Terry. Is it my understanding that you're a candidate for the 7th Congressional District?
I am. I'm the only independent candidate in the race that's actually Southern.
That's actually? Did you say that's actually Southern?
Yes, we've got some guy from Chicago as a Republican. We've got some guy from Michigan, another one from Pennsylvania, and another one from North Dakota, I believe.
Man, a lot of Yankees.
Running as independent. So,
well, tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your candidacy.
Well, I'm an independent. I believe strongly in personal liberties and property rights. I think that encompasses just about everything in our constitutional rights. Those two simple terms. And I think we have to fix our immigration system. Our previous Republican and Democrat parties have kept that issue going intentionally for decades. And the folks that came in the 90s, a lot of them were good folks coming for a better life. And what happened is they destabilized their own country. And now we see what's happening in so many of our South American countries because the good folks came here. So we do have a lot of good folks that are here, but when you send all the good bad ones left, so for the last couple of decades, we've been getting a lot of bad ones. So we have to fix our immigration system to stabilize not only our country but the rest of the world.
Well, and recognize and first off, you have to get rid, and in my opinion, you've got to take these individuals that have come here the last 5 or so years and go ahead and for lack of a better way of saying it, scrape that off the top, and then we can sort of figure out how to improve legal immigration processes. Because some of the business owners will claim to you that they find it necessary to utilize foreign sources of labor for some of the jobs that they do. Now, I don't necessarily know that that's true or not, but I feel like it is, considering the level of unemployment that we have right now. Now, maybe we cut some of the dependence that people have on government services, and that would push them back into the workforce, and I'm willing to try that. So, I mean, it's a complex issue, but, yeah, we have to solidify the southern border and get rid of those that have recently come here illegally before we get to the process of reforming immigration, in my opinion.
I agree 100%, except that I think the process of reforming immigration needs to start immediately. You have to have rules to know what to follow. And so you need to lay down how it's going to work. And in the process, all the way through, you need to start getting rid of, as you're saying, the most recent first, and, well, criminals first, period. But and then the most recent illegal immigrants that have been coming in and just literally taking so much away that Calvin Coolidge said it, President Calvin Coolidge. I can't recall his exact quote driving down the road right now, but importing a servile class is not good for our country. We have to work for our own living. Well, and I think that's made a lot of Americans very, very lazy, and that are dependent on living on the dole, as they say. And people need to get back to working, and people need to get back to feeling like they have actual rights to their own property and things. Yesterday you had that poor gentleman on that's going to have to pay $86,000 in property taxes, where it was only $9,000 12 years ago in Nashville. And a broken immigration system helps lead to all of those things.
Well said, Terry. How can people find out more about your candidacy?
You can go to CaptainTerry.com.
CaptainTerry.com. I love it. Thank you, Terry, for the call. I appreciate you. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. Also, we have to do our Murphy Show Movie Mayhem, and I need a quick review from Jackson Williams in a moment on the issue of 911 Nashville, which apparently episode number 2 was last night.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to need a quick review. But real quick, Amanda.
Don't forget the Trump clip we haven't played.
Oh, yeah,
yet.
we got the Trump clip coming up, too. So, but I want to get Amanda. She disagrees with the concept, and I want to give her an opportunity to speak her mind. Hey, Amanda.
Hi, Matt. Actually, I agree with almost everything you said up until the point of them not being able to gain citizenship after, 10, 15 years. But then you mentioned with voting rights, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then I was like, where does that stop? Where do their kids?
Uh-oh. I think we're losing you, Amanda. I hate that, but it happens from time to time. Cell phone technology is a wonderful thing until it goes out. Let me correct one thing. My point is, if you've been here, let's say 10 years or longer, you can apply to stay. You have to pay a fine to stay, consistent with the number of years you've been here illegally. And secondarily, you can do community service or whatever. But I do not believe that you get an opportunity to become a citizen at that point. That is part of the punishment for coming to the country illegally. You can stay and enjoy the benefits of living legally in the United States of America, but you don't get to become a United States citizen, nor do you get to vote. That's where I would be on that. That's kind of a hardline approach there. Donald J. Trump had a few things to say about a foreign nation earlier today. I just absolutely love it. He puts it right down there where the goats can graze on it, talking about the Venezuelan president. I believe that Jackson has this properly bleeped because, these days we have to bleep the man. President Trump earlier today. Go. Whoa.
Thanks, everybody.
That's a mic drop, baby. Give it to me one more time. So this is a guy saying, he says the Venezuelan president, Maduro, says he's giving you everything you want. He'll do anything you want. He'll do anything you want. And Trump's like, yeah, that's right. Because he doesn't want to bleep around with the United States of America. Give it to me one more time. Whoa. Now, why is it that everyone on the YouTube chat can't hear that audio?
Because I had to play music through it earlier, and I forgot to put it back.
Well, can we give it to the YouTube chat for once? Hey, YouTube chat, I hear you and I feel you, and this one's for you. There you go. There you go. He doesn't want to bleep around with the United States, and he said the bleep. That's our president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. How about that? Man. Ronnie gave you a big old Vols for the win for getting that on the YouTube chat there, Jackson. How about that?
Go Vols.
Let's before we get out of here, let's just go ahead and. That's right. It's time once again for Matt Murphy Movie Mayhem, starring Jackson Williams, a.k.a. Jay Willie, a.k.a. Reaction Jackson. And we want a reaction from Jackson Williams today on the episode number 2 of 911 Nashville. Jackson, what do you say?
They're losing me. They've got probably 2 more episodes to pull it back.
You're a big fan of the 911 series.
I love the original show. I think Lone Star is great. Can I do spoilers?
Yeah, sure.
Spoiler alert, the captain gets lightning strike through the heart. He should be dead, but he's not going to be.
What?
Yeah.
He got lightning struck through the heart?
Yes.
When?
At the end of the episode, and then they're wheeling him in, and he's not breathing the whole time they're in the fire truck, and then as they wheel him into the hospital, he goes,
oh, well, there you go. Well, there you go.
It's ridiculous.
But I don't feel like we should expect realism from this program.
But come on, man. He could get hurt any other way. It's a literal rainstorm out there. There's so many other ways. Like, he could get struck through, a different, if you get struck by lightning through the heart, you know what I know?
How do we know it was through the heart?
Because they said it.
Oh, it went. Oh, well, then the survival rate's like 0, right?
Yeah, you should be dead.
Oh, well. Okay. So you're saying even with the Nashville connections, even with the idea that you get to see all of the city.
If I wanted to see the city, I'd go for a drive.
Man, if they're losing Nashville, the same thing with E. She says they're losing her. So, man, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. You want to assign movies now or after the break?
Let's go to break. We'll come back with movies.
Quick timeout. We're assigning movies. We do Matt Murphy Movie Mayhem starring Jackson Williams coming up in a moment on Super Talk. All right, just a few minutes left before we call it a weekend. Handoff to Mark Levin. My name is Matt Murphy. Jackson Williams behind the glass. He is Jay Willie, and I'm Double M. And a lot of people are recommending movies for young Jackson. Not many recommending movies for me, but that's okay because Jackson's got that part figured out. So if you don't know about Matt Murphy Movie Mayhem starring Jay Willie, it works this way. I recommend a movie to Jackson, and he has to watch it over the weekend and report back Monday. He recommends a movie to me. I have to watch it over the weekend and report back Monday. We got through one movie before we were late. Did we get through 2?
Yeah, because we had I watched Goodfellas and Secret Life of Pets, and then we were late this week.
Oh, that's right. We watched the animated flick, and then we watched. What did I watch when you watched Goodfellas?
The Late Shift.
Oh, yeah. That's good. That was okay. It was all right. So our last films were, let's see, you had me watch Scream 3.
And I watched Silence of the Lambs.
Which is one of the finest films ever made. So you want to go first? What am I watching this way? And are we continuing? I feel like we should continue through October.
We're going with horror still?
We're going with, that basic genre of film.
Okay. We're going Us from 2019, a psychological horror film written and directed by Jordan Peele, one of my favorites.
I've never seen any of the Jordan Peele. I mean, obviously, I know Jordan Peele from Key and Peele. Fabulous
The
comedian.
turn he has made
Boy,
as a
oh boy.
writer and director,
is pretty
and this
stout.
movie, I've seen both Get Out and Us. I liked Us better,
Okay.
maybe because I saw it first.
Okay.
You haven't seen Get Out either?
I've not seen either of these films.
Honestly, I think these movies kind of, you like them less and less the more of them you see. So with the first one, Us is my favorite because I saw it first.
Well,
if that
because
makes
kind
sense.
of the same
kind of the same
styles
presence.
and premises.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with, and I asked Jackson earlier, had he seen this film, and he said no. I did not like this movie when I first watched it, and I'm on record as saying that I had just finished the book, and then I watched the movie, and the book and the movie are very, very different, but they are both classics in their own right. And as I've watched it over the years, it holds up. It is fabulous, has one of the greatest performances in horror history. It is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
Ooh, that'll be a good movie this weekend. I'm excited.
All right, The Shining and Us will
That's
report
Here's
back.
Johnny, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here's Johnny.
Wendy, I'm not going to hurt you. Just going to bash your brains in. Mark Levin coming up next. Have a great weekend. Hope your team wins, unless your team is Ole Miss. In that case,
Or Bama.